What is up, everybody, and welcome to Grow in Greenville. My name is Nick Green.
And I'm Cannon Gates.
And this is the podcast version of our radio show, Grounded in Greenville, which is premiered every Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. But this is the podcast version where we just kind of talk about one specific area. Last time we did this, we talked about some ECU news. We had Karina Gordon on here. This time, we're going the Greenville news round. We're going the Greenville roundup. We're doing some Greenville news. And then we're going to have a very special guest on in just a little bit who you will find out who that is in just a second if you haven't read the caption, because it's actually going to tell you in the caption. But
that's all right. They'll figure it out.
Assuming you haven't read the caption, we'll surprise you here in a little bit, you know? We'll pretend that you don't know who we're about to bring on in just a little bit. We'll surprise you. But let's go ahead and get started with some Greenville news. Cannon, would you like to go first?
You know what? I absolutely will, Nick. Just a couple weeks ago, RV, the coach Ronald Vince of J.H. Rose, the Rampants here in Greenville, he started his 51st season as head baseball coach and found out he will be getting inducted into the National High School Sports Hall of Fame, National High School Hall of Fame, as it's called, joining plenty of amazing players you've heard in like MLB, NFL, NBA coaches worldwide, or excuse me, nationwide. But yeah, he is getting inducted. If you don't know some of his stats, he is currently 1,015, and I believe it's 297 heading into tonight's game with West Carteret. They started off 4-0 so far, the Rampants. He's won 7 state titles in 1975, 97, 98, 2003, 04, 08, and 2021.
Wow.
Again, coaching in 73. In fact, he won the state championship.
That's very impressive.
Yeah, his first couple of years is pretty crazy. But yeah, currently they're 4-0, like I said. They will be starting their conference play tomorrow against Northside Jacksonville. He won his 1,000th career game last year, April 12, 2022, against Jacksonville. And last season, he had the field at Guy Smith Stadium named after him. He also received an honor from the city of Greenville for his 1,000th win. When you hear 1,000 wins in one sport, in high school sports in general, that's crazy to think about. He's the only public school coach with 1,000 career wins in one sport, though several coaches have won by combining sports, according to highschoolot.com. He is one of 13 active baseball coaches around the country to have over 1,000 wins in baseball. He's also been part of state championship football teams at Rose as an assistant coach. Those titles were 75, 03, 04, 05, 06. Been named state coach of the year several times, inducted to the NC High School Athletic Association Hall of Fame in 2014 and the NC Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame in 2010. Crazy career that RV has had at J.H. Rose, and I know people in Greenville are very proud to see that, even if you're not go to Rose or your alumni of Rose, South Central, D.H. Conley, anything like that, you're very proud to see Greenville is getting some love nationwide.
Absolutely. That's something you always love to see.
Yep.
I mean, it's an incredible career he's had, and it's just one of those, it's very well deserved from what I can understand. Very well deserved, and you're always happy to hear that for the local Greenville natives. My story is related to the Build Project here in Greenville. In case you don't know what that is, the Build Project is basically... So the U.S. Department of Transportation awarded Greenville a grant of, I can't read my own handwriting, a grant in 2019 for this build project. It did not specify how much the amount was. I'm sure you can probably find that online somewhere, but I did not specify the article I read. This is comprised of 4 greenway and sidewalk projects and 3 streetscape projects. So basically going to make transportation around Greenville easier for those of you who are on foot. A lot of us college kids kind of like to walk around everywhere. It's going to be more greenways, a lot more nature in those, and more sidewalks for us, making Greenville a lot more of a walkable city for the college folk here.
Yeah. I see some positives and I see some negatives there. I think there is definitely probably more positives.
Sure.
But I just think for the way the city is growing and how it's going right now, putting so many more greenways, it's definitely going to... people are going to get out and do that, but how much is it actually going to... I don't know how it'll affect people going onto the greenways and just doing stuff that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's very interesting to tell what is going to exactly happen. I think it is definitely more positives, like I said.
Yeah.
But sometimes fewer negatives can outweigh those more positive things. So.
No, I definitely get that, because the greenway we have here on campus is definitely a hot spot for people who like to, do activities in which I'm not allowed to mention here, based upon the rules by the FCC. Not allowed to mention that, but to do some activities that are not exactly legal in the state of North Carolina, but are legal in Colorado. That's going to tell you everything I need. Everything you need to know is going to be in that statement right there. But is something that you see that all the time right along the Greenway. And I mean, you said it perfectly right there. It's only going to give more places for that to happen.
Exactly.
And it's not necessarily the best reflection of our city in the way we would like it to be.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we're nailing on the head right
Nailing
now.
the head of the hammer right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I tell you what, every single time we do a show, the amount of times you say that is hilarious.
I
love it though.
Well, because I think it's exactly whenever I say something and whenever you say something and I 100% agree with it, I think that's the perfect thing to say.
I couldn't agree more.
You're just nailing on the head.
And that's a very Cannon Gates thing to
Exactly.
say. And honestly, for the sake of the show, don't ever stop doing that.
Exactly.
For the sake of the show, I think you got to stick with it. I love it. Love that about you. But you think it's time to introduce our special guest?
Yep. You know what, Nick, you got to do the honors.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So our special guest this time is a local politician here in Greenville, North Carolina. He has ran for city council a few times, and you will get let me actually introduce him now. I'm about to say you're going to meet him right now. Let me actually introduce him. This is Mr. Neal Driver, and you will get to meet Mr. Neal Driver right now. What is up, everybody, and welcome to Grow in Greenville. My name is Nick Green.
And I'm Cannon Gates.
And we are here with a very special guest. This is Mr. Neal Young. Neal Young. Neal Young. I'm so sorry.
It's all right, man. I've been called worse.
I don't know. I actually don't even know where that came from, actually. I think we're talking about the Panthers. We're talking about Bryce. Maybe. We were talking about the Panthers. I must have confused it with Bryce Young. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Neal Driver, excuse me, everybody. Neal Driver ran for city council here in Greenville not too long ago as the OEM sales manager at Sigma Engineered Solutions. Neal, how you doing today, sir?
I'm awesome. How are y'all?
Doing
pretty
great.
good.
Doing great.
Thank y'all for having me.
Of course. First question, go ahead and kind of introduce yourself a little bit to everybody.
Well, you did a pretty good job. Like you said, my name is Neal. I'm Neal Driver. I live down the street over by the Little League Park. Graduated from ECU in '99. Seems like eons ago, but actually seems like just yesterday. Ran for city council a couple years, actually last fall, because after I graduated and moved to Raleigh and came back, realized how awesome Greenville and Pitt County are, and just wanted to make a difference, man. Try to figure out ways to give back to the community. Hopefully, I can convince some students, to see it the way that I see it and want to stay here because this place got a lot to offer. Like I said, I'm not done yet, so try to figure out a way to give it another try and maybe come through successful next time.
Awesome. Love to hear that. So first question first, we alluded to this not too long ago in the previous part of this where me and Cannon were just talking. But what are your thoughts on the build project? Do you think this is something good for the city, or what are your thoughts on it?
Yes and no. And I guess what I'll say, I'll start off by the positives. The positives are anytime you're trying to improve the city, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Whether it's outside amenities, walking trails, parks. Everybody needs to be outside. Like for example, when the city went all in on the pickleball courts, a lot of people in the tennis community kind of pushed back. But it was a pretty brilliant move on the city. It was risky, but it was brilliant because those pickleball courts over on Elm Street are just packed constantly. And it gets people outside, and it shows people just, kind of what all of Greenville's about. Now, the bad part about that is timing.
Yeah.
Okay, so, the reason I ran for city council is city council, a lot of people don't understand. Like, the mayor, everybody looks at the mayor. The mayor is kind of like the president. The mayor really is just a tiebreaker vote. He really doesn't have much power. The city council is what ultimately makes the decisions here in town. Coming back from Greenville, like when I graduated from here, I said I would never come back because Greenville was just it's gross. But after living downtown Raleigh for 12 years, inside the Beltline where everybody wanted to live, and coming back here, I realized this place is coming back is the best thing I ever did, especially when it comes to like raising a family, raising kids, and things like that. So when I ran for city council, my thought was, okay, if we can just kind of make some little key moves, take down some barriers, just kind of make a couple little key changes, from being in Raleigh and kind of seeing how that whole area grew in the early 2000s and even into now. If we can kind of replicate that here just by letting government get out of the way and let the private sector come in and do their thing, this place will pop. But see, now we're at a point with the build project where they're still focusing on building the parks and the walking trails. Well, at some point you got to refocus into revenue. Okay, parks and walking trails don't bring jobs. Parks and walking trails don't improve the cost. Don't improve cost of living for people. So what you have to do is you have to focus on things that are revenue centric, that will bring more people here, that will bring jobs here, that will also reduce the tax burden on all of us. Because even though you guys are students, if you're renting over there on the grid or anywhere else, when your tax burden, my tax burden goes up, your rents go up too. So if you're working to pay those rents, we're all in that hole together. So we got to figure it out. So Build has some positives, but right now, just due to inflation being so high and things just kind of being crazy, we need to really change our focus on what we're actually doing to make sure that we're getting the biggest bang for our buck.
I think you hit the nail on the head right there, Neal. You talked about it briefly just a little bit ago, but I wanted to ask you, what makes you really think ECU students after they graduate should stay in Greenville? Because I feel like it's pretty much known that from the ages to 22 to about 30, it's a very, very small percentage in Greenville.
Yep.
What makes you what is your biggest reason, just a couple of reasons why you think students should stay in Greenville after graduation?
So first of all, I'm not naive to understand that you can't stay here if there's no job here.
Yeah.
So that was a big focus for my campaign, was to go out, do things that the government can do to kind of create tax incentives for businesses to come here, because we got this awesome talent pool that, we got engineers, we got doctors, we got business majors, we got education majors, we got communications majors, we got everything, we got bio, everything that anybody could want. And the problem is when you guys get educated like myself, you leave and go west. So why, if you're this big company, like an IT company, a bioengineering company, engineer, or communications, why would you not want to go set up shop in a low tax area that's got basically 27,000 students that are just there? It's like a farm for you to harvest from.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I'm not naive to know that there's no jobs. So that's why, for example, my wife, she sits on the board of something called the ENC Alliance. Okay, the ENC Alliance is a group of private sector people here in Pitt County that focus on going out to big corporations and bringing them here on behalf of the city and county. Okay, so they're the wheelers and the dealers that sit there and negotiate, because a lot of times people in government, they don't have outside business experience, so they don't really know how, what's going to really, move the needle for these companies. So their focus is to go out and bring those jobs here. My focus at the city was going to be to work hand in hand with them to make sure that we're all lockstep and we can focus on what we'll call ECU, our crops, because y'all are the best and the brightest that Pitt County has to offer, and even the state has to offer. So why am I going to watch you drive west when you graduate? I want to figure out a way to keep you here, because that's only going to make Pitt County, Greenville, and all of Eastern North Carolina kick ass, honestly.
Right.
So,
No, I think you're exactly right on that, Neal. It's just like you said just earlier, why are people driving west? And I think you're exactly right. Why not companies come and build in Greenville? I think you hit the nail on the head there. And we want to get more serious. Me and Nick here talked about it on our just our radio show a couple weeks ago about grounded in Greenville. A shooting happened a couple weeks ago near ECU's campus, near Walcoats Elementary School. How do you think that could impact the economy, really impact anything, what could have happened there? Because people, of course, that's the statewide news, what happened there. They shot an ECU employee and was a person near an elementary school. So what's your thoughts there?
And that's the thing, so first of all, this place has so much to offer with, like I was mentioning earlier, we're an hour and a half away from pretty much everything. There's water in our backyard to get to. So, but we have to be real careful on how we attract people to come here. We got to do the right things. When things like shootings that are tragic, no matter what the circumstance is, even if it's like self-defense, whatever, they're all tragic, because you never want to end a life on any circumstance. That right there puts a huge black eye on us. But see, a lot of that too comes from, I guess, political motivations to defund law enforcement. So right now, whenever I ran for office back in November, I know that the couple months before, Greenville PD was down, I think, 20% of its officers. So let's just use raw numbers. So if you have 10 officers and 2 of them are gone, now you have 8 guys to run those same routes, okay, to keep people safe. So when you get, and we've got a ton of students here, and most of us, when we were students, and you guys now, we all try to walk the straight and narrow and do the right thing. But every now and then there's those bad apples that come in and ruin things. Like with, right now Pitt County Sheriff is helping out GPD, to kind of help out with some of the drug problems, the gang problems, because they are here. But when you're understaffed, it just makes your job that much tougher. And Greenville, I know, 15 years ago was one of the highest paying cities in the state for paying officers. Now they're at the lowest end of the totem pole because priorities change politically. And that's an issue because, okay, yeah, sure, not all police are great, but most of them are, and they're there to serve and protect, and they're there to make sure that we're safe, our kids are safe, our families are safe, the students are safe, because like I was telling, all these, these girls, because guys were like, yeah, we're tough, we got this. But these girls that are walking on the walking trail, they don't go on the trail at night. So if you're building all these walking trails to nowhere, and everyone's scared to use them because you don't have enough police officers, then you're kind of, just cutting your nose off to spite your face, so to speak. So, with the shootings, we've got to make sure that we've got adequate law enforcement in place, that we've got good officers, not just any officer. We've got to make sure we've got the right officers here to take care of everybody and get in front of those problems before they happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, yep.
Couldn't agree more. And we actually talked about that a little bit, too. We don't feel like police officers get enough recognition here in the city. Well, all around, honestly.
Right.
We don't feel like they get enough recognition for what they do. And I think you said it just kind of like how we did the other week on our show. My question to you is going to seem like a simple question, but honestly, it really is a wonderful question that I like to ask people. What is your favorite thing about Greenville and your least favorite thing about Greenville? And, yeah, like, what do you like about it? So, like, and didn't like?
Greenville's a sports town.
Oh, yeah.
So, and the thing is, with the new CPL, Coastal Plains League coming in the in the summer after ECU season's over, it just makes baseball that much better. So, I'm going to tell you all about something that is not even something I had any kind of quantification of until this past week. So, I have a 9-year-old son. So, baseball is king here in Greenville, whether it's college, high school, little league, everything. It's serious. So my son's 9. So in Greenville, you have mini fry, which is essentially T-ball. You have small fry, which is like training league. And then you have like big fry, which is like another train league. And then you have little league. So every place I've ever been, you go try out for little league, you make the team. Yeah. No, not here in Greenville. There's 100 kids for 50 spots.
Wow.
Okay. So
wow.
So because of that, over at Elm Street Park, at that incredible complex that you have, they sit here and they run all 100 kids through a gauntlet, a 3-day tryout gauntlet. Okay. It is nerve-wracking because your kids want it so bad and the parents want it more. It's crazy. Like the parents almost have support groups for each other because everybody's just sitting there, oh goodness, little Jimmy's out there. Oh gosh, he missed his pop fly. Oh man, oh gosh, he didn't hit it into the outfield as far as the other guy did. And because all of these kids are so good, like they're better than my high school baseball team were. And I'm talking about kids that are 9 years old. Like it's just unbelievable. They're turning double plays. Like it's expected of them. Mm-hmm. So that aspect, as nerve-wracking as it is, is so rewarding when your kids actually are able to play on a team because it's so serious. Like 1 out of every 7 years, Greenville Little League puts a team in a Little League World Series. And then on top of that, you have the softball. Yeah. So last year, like we had 2 teams in the softball World Series, the Greenville team and the Winterville team. And the Greenville team, the Greenville team was in the championship game last year. They lost, but still. So you have that. You've got football. If we can ever just get out of our own way on the football team. So I come from the day of Steve Logan, where like in the 90s, where it was just awesome. But we always had boneheaded losses. But we always had those. What, we won that game? Yeah. And then of course through the Skip Holtz years and the rough years. We won't mention Scotty Moe and John Thompson, but everybody has them. But, Mike Houston, I feel like he's the right guy, especially with JDB coming in as our offensive coordinator.
I love that hire.
Yeah, I do. I love it.
It's brilliant. And if you study his offense under Lane Kiffin,
it's gorgeous.
It's a hybrid RPO air raid.
It's awesome.
So, and that's what we can recruit for, So, like, for example, everybody wants to bash App State. But App State wins because they recruit to the style of offense that it takes to win ball games. So, but Greenville, all in all, and then if we can just get our basketball program, bless its heart, we'll be. But that's
they're trying.
We almost have year-round sports around here, and then if you're just tired of what goes on right over there, everybody's on the water or on the beach. They're hunting, they're fishing, they're doing whatever. And like I said, for a bunch of country boys or small town people like most of us here in North Carolina are, this place fits the mold perfect.
It really does.
Exactly. No, I think what I wanted to say though about what you're saying about football, we were talking about, and I think that's another reason why we brought in so many transfers. It's the same thing you said about App. App may not necessarily have the league, the NFL guys. They might not, whenever they're coming out of high school, these guys aren't going to the NFL. Yeah, but they win because, like you said, they cater to who they're bringing in.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're doing because, I mean, we've got some great transfers. We've got an SEC wide receiver, NC State wide receiver. We got West Virginia cornerback. Like, we got a bunch of guys coming in who are Power 5 experience.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Right, and that's key. They have experience playing, and that's the niche that we need because forever, like a lot of times you get these transfers that never play, and you're like, oh, well, like, for example, Ryan King last year. Big stud wide receiver out of Georgia Tech, but never played. He gets here, never plays a snap.
Yeah.
Looks good on paper, just can't cut it on the field. So, and not to say he's not a talented guy. He just doesn't fit the mold for what ECU was looking for. But this whole transfer portal is new to everybody, and I think Houston kind of had a head start when he was at JMU because that's how he made JMU so good.
Right.
And, he swallowed his pride and went out on, and got a new offensive coordinator, which I think is only going to help.
I think the offensive coordinator hire, I love it. So, I love John David Baker.
It's brilliant. And the thing is, so you guys, you saw 2 years ago when we won 8 games and you saw how electric the city is. That's nothing. Like, just the closest time recently was what, 13 and 14 with Ruff and Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
Like this town feeds off the energy that comes out of Dowdy Ficklin. It's unbelievable. And you can tell it when you come here and just like it is truly an SEC environment all year long. The football teams.
Absolutely. Well, that's funny that you kind of bring that up a little bit because the last question was kind of related to ECU athletics and related to kind of like how does the success of ECU athletics help Greenville as a whole, the city of Greenville as a whole?
So it is actually proven that when our football team is winning, admission applications go up. Okay, so you can actually track. So the past couple of years, our admission applications have been down 10, 15, 20%.
Yeah.
So that's why your acceptance rate goes that much higher because you're not getting that many applications. You have to have major college sports too. So look, we all chose ECU for one reason or another. But let's not kid ourselves. ECU doesn't have a lot of the amenities other places have. Wilmington's got the beach, App State's got the mountains, Charlotte's got a big city, State's got a big city, Chapel Hill, Duke, Wake Forest, they are what they are. Then there's ECU. We always have that proverbial chip on our shoulder because we feel like we're the redheaded stepchild. So what you have to do is you have to go out there and you have to figure out how to win those games. You win it on the baseball diamond, awesome. That's great. Baseball pays the light bills. Football pays the mortgage. So and when we're successful on the football field, it gets those eyes on the ESPN, and they see that environment that Dowdy Ficklin has, and people want to be a part of it. Because look, when I applied for colleges, I applied to State, Wilmington. I didn't apply to Chapel Hill because I will never go to Chapel Hill, nor will my son. So and Charlotte and everywhere else. But then I was like, Charlotte doesn't have major athletics. Wilmington doesn't. State's too close to home. And then there's ECU, and that was that was them coming off the Peach Bowl 4 years prior. And I was like, this is perfect. Because you just want to be a part of that because that fandom that you have, like when we wear that purple and gold.
Oh, yeah.
When you're up at Liberty and there's more ECU fans in the
That was awesome.
Right.
That was awesome.
And people recognize that, and people across the country recognize it. And, I travel for my job a lot. I'm always wearing ECU in the airport, and somebody's always making a comment. Oh, yeah, man, you guys are awesome, man. You guys are killer fans.
Absolutely.
And that if maybe that's not, you guys are a bunch of brain surgeons. Well, at least we have that, and we have that notoriety, and that's what kind of keeps us going forward and keeps that chip on our shoulder.
So I find it funny you bring that up because that's I think that's perfect. I mean, one of the things that you see all the time on all around the college baseball world right now is ECU is one of those stadiums where people want to get to. People want to get to Greenville to watch a baseball game because of the atmosphere of the jungle. And I mean, we witnessed the 8-win season 2 years ago here in Greenville, but that was the only season we've witnessed as students that we were. I mean, we saw it before, but that's the ones we've witnessed here in person.
It breaks
as
my
students.
Heart. You guys have never really seen this place full.
Yeah.
Because I come from a time where it was full every game. Like you couldn't get a ticket. And so, when my son was young and we came here, we hired nannies and stuff that were ECU students. And I'd always talk to them about you go to football games? Like, because we were going through some tough times with Scotty Moe and early Houston. And it breaks my heart that you never got to see what ECU was really about. Because, the school's great. But then if you've got the athletics on top of it, this place is just
it's
on
awesome.
Fire.
It's awesome.
And, I mean, if your parents went here, they get it.
Oh,
and that's probably why you're here, So, but it's an awesome place, and that's like I said, that's why this place has so much to offer compared to places like Raleigh. Which, look, I grew up right outside of Raleigh. I lived downtown Raleigh for 12 years. Raleigh's too much now, too congested, too woke, it's just too much going on. Come here, you just get to focus on you, this place, have fun, build a career, build a life, and just live the American dream.
That's right.
No, I think that's honestly perfect to end on.
Absolutely.
By that, everything you said, everything. I think me and Nick both agree, and I think you're exactly right about ECU athletics. Even in that 8-5 season, that NC State game was insane.
Oh, it was awesome.
It was
that
insane.
environment was incredible.
Yeah, and then even in that year, even last year, the first couple games, it still was first couple games. After that, it kind of went.
See, and it's kind of I've been talking about it with a few people too. I have certain games that I highlight at least in my mind, certain games that I highlight in my head of some of the best events that I've been to. NC State ECU football week 1 is one of them. Unfortunately, came out just short in that one. You got another one comes to my mind whenever we hosted the number 1 team Houston in basketball last year. Minji's Coliseum was rocking for that game for the slight chance of we could maybe upset the number 1 team.
And we did the year before because they were third in the country.
Exactly. And so for the slight chance that we would upset them, Minji's Coliseum was rocking. Yeah. And then just recently against the Carolina here in Greenville,
the Sunday game,
the Sunday game against Carolina, the jungle was absolutely rocking.
That was insane to be a part of.
And I don't even have words for how electric that atmosphere was.
Did y'all go to the Super Regional against Texas?
No, we weren't. That was the year before us.
Yeah, because we were sophomores now, so that was right before.
That was the most intense weekend. It was like a mosh pit.
Yeah.
For 3 days. I'm serious. There was that one game, the very end, it didn't, the game ended at 2 a.m. and the stadium was
still full.
And kids had school the next day. It was a Sunday night. My kid, he was 6 years old, and he's out there with me. And it's we don't care. I mean,
it doesn't matter.
We're just ride or die, man.
Yeah. We're still here.
But that's
awesome.
That's what makes this place awesome. And you don't get that same deal at NC State. You don't get it at Carolina. You don't get it anywhere. Mm-hmm. People around here just rabid, and we love our Pirates. And
absolutely.
And that's the thing. We love this town too. Especially when you come back, because I have friends that come back. Might take a 10-year hiatus because they live out of state, and they're just blown away at what this place has to offer. And we just got to tell the world about it and make sure that our athletic program's doing their part.
That's right.
And then we can knock this place to the moon. Man.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great to end on. We really appreciate you coming by, Neal. Yeah.
Neal Driver, everybody, thank you for coming on. It was really great to have you. Any last words from you before we end this thing?
No, look, so this is crazy election year. If anybody tells you your vote doesn't matter, they're lying. And because I can promise you, if you don't vote, your vote is good enough for the other side. So regardless of who you want to vote for, go out there and vote for somebody.
Absolutely.
Because things are probably about to get crazy, so keep your heads on the swivels and just pay attention to what's going on out there. And it's a great time to be alive, boys.
Yep.
Absolutely. Couldn't say it better. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Grow in Greenville. You can catch our radio show, Grounded in Greenville, every Thursday from 3 to 4. Until next time, go Pirates.